Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. For those who are new, my name is Essa and I am so glad to have you guys here. It's been so long since I said those words. I think I left you guys for maybe 9 months. 9 months, I think so. So there's so much that has been going on in my life, and generally I didn't feel like I was in a good space to come back here. And right now I feel like myself again. I feel like I'm good to be here, so I'm in a good headspace generally, so that's why I am back. And as you can see from the title, there's so much that has been going on which I'm here to update you on. So the last time we talked, which was in December, it was in December when I was trying to do vlogmas. If you guys can remember, I kept telling you guys how I felt really sick and I was going to go to hospital, and on that last video that I did, so I did go to hospital and I found out that I did have H. pylori as I suspected, and then I also had a blood infection, and then on top of that I was also pregnant. So yeah, I was actually very excited about that. I called the necessary people. I called Robin, I told Nora and my sisters, and the journey began from there. So the reason why I didn't come back online was because from that moment on, you guys, from that moment on, I was continuously sick. Yeah, so as I was saying, I found out I was pregnant at about 6 weeks, and from then on it was just like not the regular sickness, but apart from the regular sickness of the first trimester where you're always tired, you're always sleepy, you're always it just takes a toll on you. I was also just feeling like the extreme side of everything. I was having headaches every day. I was like my bones were like really painful when I stand up, when I sit down, and my teeth were paining because of lack of calcium. And yeah, so it just took a whole toll on me, and I kept thinking to myself, I'll probably announce that I'm pregnant in the second trimester when I feel better, because you're actually supposed to feel better during the second trimester. So that went on, and it got to a point where I wasn't going to work anymore because it just, guys, it took a toll on me. Like I even felt like I kept telling myself there was something wrong, because with Zari's pregnancy everything was smooth. I was active. I was like, it was all bubbly and a fun pregnancy. And then with this one, it was just, I was always down, I was always sick, I was always emotional. So that happened, and then I got to the second trimester and pretty much nothing changed. So if you guys are hearing cooing sounds, he's here, he's down here. But I'll show him to you guys at the end of the video. So yeah, you just bear with the noises. So the second trimester went on like that. I kept waiting for that surge of energy that is supposed to come, and I kept thinking to myself, I'm going to announce when this happens, I'm going to announce when, like, I kept thinking I'm going to feel better. I tried to stay as positive as I could, because there was so much happening that I really honestly, like right now, maybe because I feel like it's been a while back, I can't remember everything that was happening, but it was just, everything was just off. So during the second trimester, I started to experience my feet swelling and my hands swelling, and sometimes my face swelling, and that didn't happen with Zaria's pregnancy. So I kept telling Robin, I hope this is not what I think it is. I hope it's just normal feet swelling, like for pregnant women. But so now with the whole corona and the lockdown and everything, I was also afraid of going for my clinic. So from around 20 weeks to 28 weeks, I didn't go to hospital because I was afraid of leaving the house. And I just kept thinking, because I had my vitamins, and I had all the pregnancy pills that you're supposed to take, the iron, the calcium, the folic. I had everything already. I thought I was pretty okay. I wasn't in any danger. So No, from around 24 weeks, from around, so I didn't go for a month. Yeah. So yeah, when I went, I finally went at 28 weeks, and I went because I was so much concerned about the swelling, and my doctor pretty much told me that it could be preeclampsia, which is fatal to both the mom and the child, so I should be prepared to give birth by 34 weeks. So that was the first point where I was like, wow, like, you know, with Zaria, the pregnancy was full term. She came, I think, 3 days early. And so I never thought that I would be in a situation where I had to prepare myself mentally to give birth early. I just thought it was supposed to be smooth sailing like the first one. And that's why people generally say that no pregnancy is the same. So I got prepared at that time. I was given the pills I'm supposed to take for high blood pressure, because I did have high blood pressure. Your pressure is supposed to be around 140/90 on the higher side, and for me on that day it was around 160/110. And I even had to buy the blood pressure cuff because I had to now monitor myself, and it became a whole thing, like, but they hadn't confirmed. I still had to do more tests for them to be like pretty sure that it was full on preeclampsia. So I went back at 30 weeks, no, like 29 weeks, and actually it was 30 weeks, yeah. So I went back at 30 weeks, and I told the doctor that what I'm seeing on the blood pressure monitor that I had is my pressure was going crazy, like to the point where I kept telling Robin, like, this thing is broken. There's no way someone's pressure should be this high and they're just okay, they're just seated and everything is fine. Because the points it would get to, like, my pressure would go over 190 and over 120. So like that's really high. So I went to hospital, and the doctor just told me just he added the dose of what I was taking, and he just told me to monitor if I get any headaches, if I get any dizziness, if I had any pain on my right side, to rush to hospital. And the next day on a Sunday, it was on a Sunday, I woke up with a really bad headache. In fact, that night I didn't sleep well. I woke up with a very bad headache. I remember I was feeling so dizzy, so I thought to myself, like, I'll just go to hospital because what I'm feeling. And I had talked to my doctor, I had talked to my sister Steffi, who's a nurse, and she also told me to watch out for those symptoms. So I was feeling like this is what I was told to watch out for. So I rushed myself to Aga Khan in Greenspan. I told the doctor that this is what I'm feeling, but my doctor was not there, my gynecologist was not there. And they did the test, and my protein was through the roof. So what they check for is protein. Like when you have preeclampsia, there's a standard where it's supposed to be, and they checked. My blood pressure at that point was 160 over something. Did everything, I got more pills, and my doctor was like, if you can't, just go home and monitor. And that didn't sit right with me, because I kept thinking, with the way I'm feeling, you guys told me to rush to hospital if I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and I've told you I'm feeling what I'm feeling, and you're telling me to go back home and monitor. So I called Steffi, and I told Steffi, like, I'm feeling what I was told to watch out for. What do you think? What should I do? Me, I feel like I need to go to hospital. And Steffi was like, yeah, come to Nairobi Hospital, because she works there. At least if it's a false alarm, there's no harm to it, and we'll just see from there. And so I called Robin, and we went to hospital. And by the time I got to hospital, like, my pressure was at 192 over 125. So that's pretty damn high, to the point where they were like, what? Thank God you're actually here. And I remember I just kept, like, me and Robin looked at each other like, whoa. So all those times that we kept thinking the machine had a problem, my pressure was actually that high. And it was just like by the grace of God that all those times when my pressure was high, I wasn't exhibiting any major difficulties. So I was admitted on that Sunday. It was on the 17th. It was on the 17th of May. And so for me, in my head, I was like, see, I've been admitted, everything is going to go okay, I'm going to be given the necessary medication, and then in a few days I'll be back home. yeah, so in a few days I'll be back home. And so I remember even I was admitted like on Sunday night, and then Monday I was on medication. I was also given steroids for the baby's lungs, because they do that if they anticipate for your baby to come early. So for me it was just like, oh, since he's going to be coming at 34 weeks, I guess he does need the steroids. So on Monday I woke up feeling pretty okay. I was feeling really good. I remember even talking to my sisters during the day, and I was telling them, I'm feeling very okay. My pressure is going down slowly, because it was at around 170 at that time when I was talking to them. And then I was like, so I'm calculating like maybe because that was on a Monday, so I was calculating like maybe by Wednesday it will have gotten back to the point where I can go back home. So I was still pretty optimistic, and I was like, there's like, see, 34 weeks is coming, and that's 4 weeks down the line. So I was like, we still have time. And mind you, I had not bought anything for the baby, and so I was just like, I just kept telling myself, like, I had at this point gotten prepared for 34 weeks, so I just kept telling myself, yeah, 34 weeks will be good. So that night I went to sleep, but I couldn't sleep well. There's this pain that I kept feeling on my chest, like there was this immense pressure, immense pain, and like no painkiller was helping me. I kept asking the nurses for medication. They're like, we've already given you medication, we can't add, we have to check with the doctors. And I, like, pretty much the whole night I was just bothered and I was uneasy. They had to keep checking the baby's heartbeat. They had to keep monitoring that to see it wasn't going so low. So yeah, and in the morning at around 8, they got to a point where they were like, so medication is not working, your pressure is still high, the heartbeat is okay but it's not at its best, so you'll have to go for an emergency C-section. And let me tell you the shock that hit me. First of all, even when they told me that I was going to give birth at 34 weeks, it never really hit me that I was going to have a C-section. I always thought, see, 34 weeks, that's gonna be a normal delivery. And then I have never in my life thought that I would be going through a C-section, because I did normal delivery with Zaria, so I was mentally prepared for that. And the shock that hit me at that point, I was just like, okay, so Robin has gone home, I'm here alone, I'm going for a C-section. I talked to people last night, I was telling them I might come home on Wednesday. So I just sent out a quick text to Robin and my sisters, and I was just like, in retrospect, like right now, I know that is not the best message to send, and I'm sorry guys. But I sent them a message telling them that things have taken a toll for the worse and I'm going for C-section, just that. So at that point, I just needed to pass the information really fast, because they were asking for my phone, and I just wanted to be able to let them know what happened. Like, God forbid if anything happens to me, I don't want them to wake up thinking Esther is being discharged on Wednesday, and then they wake up and it's a whole different story. So I just sent out a text and I was like, things are not okay, I'm going for a C-section. So my big sister called me immediately, and I was just like, I can't talk, they're asking for my phone, but I'm going for C-section, my pressure didn't go down, and just tell everyone. And that was it. So I was put on oxygen, because the pain that I was feeling was really bad, and so they needed to help me to just, like, to the point I wasn't breathing well because I was in so much pain. So yeah, so I was given oxygen, and then I was wheeled out to theater, and I had the whole C-section. It wasn't a bad experience, to be honest. It was pretty easy. Then I've never had a problem with injections, so I didn't feel much. The whole point of the injections was for you to not feel anything below the legs, the whole body, I guess. I can't remember pretty well, but it's for you to not feel any pain. And so I wasn't feeling any pain. I was talking to the doctors, okay, and yeah, it was a success. And then they removed him. Actually, so it was just like I could feel tugging on my body, but I couldn't feel the actual cut. And then I saw him for the first time. They were like, oh, here he is. And I was just like, oh wow. But it was just for a brief second. He came out screaming, and I was just like, oh, thank God he's okay. Because giving birth at 30 weeks, you'd think that he would not be okay. You'd panic because you're thinking, is he fully developed? Like, I was just in a panic state. But when I saw him, I was just like, at least first of all, I thought he looked exactly like his sister Zaria, and then I was just like, at least he's okay. So they rushed him off, and so they could finish with me. So when I got done with the CS, I was taken to the recovery area, and then my sister, because she also Steffi works in the theater, she was somewhere nearby, but I couldn't see her because one, I was told that she was not on duty that day, and also being a relative, she couldn't access me from there. So I remember just shouting at her, I'm like, how is everyone? I'm like, who's here? So she was telling me Robin was there and Hashi was there, and everyone wanted to talk to me on the phone, and people were panicking because of the message I had sent. So yeah, so she gave me her phone, and I was past her phone, and I talked to Robin first. And he was just like, oh my God, thank God you're okay. Because I kept being told the baby is fine, but I didn't know where you are. I didn't know if you were okay. And so we just talked for some time. Then I talked to Nora, and we almost broke down on the phone because she was like, how can you trust me like that? For everyone who doesn't know, Nora is my twin sister. So there's that bond that we share. And she was just like, oh my God, how can you trust me like that? How do you send someone such a message? And again, I'm sorry for sending that not so thought of message. But yeah, so I went back to my room, and the journey for recovery started there. So here I was, 30 weeks, delivered through CS, delivered a child who was taken now to the ICU for babies, because at 30 weeks he needed a lot of support. First of all, he was put on oxygen, he was put camera cut off, so he was put under oxygen, he was put under UV light for jaundice. No, jaundice was on day 3. Yeah, so there was just so much going on. I think I'll put a picture for you guys to just see how day 1 I saw him, and he was so tiny. He was born at 1.1 kgs, so you can basically imagine how small he was, because normal babies who are also tiny are born at around 3 kgs and upwards. So he was born at 1.1. And I just remember going to see him, and I felt so helpless. I was just like, honestly, this has happened. I don't even know where I'm going to get started. Here I am, my pressure also again is stressing out the doctors because they don't know why it's not going down. My baby is in the NICU, and then I have to start pumping milk immediately, which my body is not prepared for, because generally your body knows that at around 40 weeks when your baby is delivered, that's when it should start producing milk. And here I am 10 weeks early, baby out of the body, and I have to start producing milk. So I had to get a pump and start pumping immediately. Yeah, so that's where the journey began. And we were I was in hospital for 10 days, so at least I was able to see him while in hospital. I would go see him anytime. And let me just say, for only like moms who go through the same experience pretty much understand what that experience is like you're in the maternity ward, you're there with other moms and their babies, and you're hearing screaming at night, and it's just heartbreaking because you're thinking like, I just wish I had that chance to hold my baby and hear them cry and comfort them and breastfeed them. And like, it was really a difficult time, but it didn't hit me as much at that point. At that point I was still strong, I still was positive, because I could see him anytime I wanted. So even in the middle of the night, if I woke up and I was feeling like craving to see him, I would just walk to to his room and just be able to see him. So yeah, I was in hospital for another 10 days. I was there for extra days because my blood pressure, like I said, was refusing to go down. So I had to see specialists, cardiologists, and get tests done because they didn't, like, what they usually say is for preeclampsia, once the what is it called? Yeah, once the placenta is out of your body, like, your pressure goes down almost immediately or within that day. But for me, it was here like 8 days later. My pressure is still refusing, especially at night. It kept going high. So, but at least they were able to manage that, and I was able to leave on, I can't remember when. So yeah, so that's basically it. He was born on the 19th of May, and at 30 weeks at 1.1 kgs. And so when I got admitted, now the day I was being admitted, I remember we went to see him. So Robin only got to see the baby the first day he was born, and then now the day I was being discharged, because they had set in place rules that the dads couldn't go since the whole COVID business was happening, and they didn't want to put the babies at risk, which we totally understand. So he only got to see him again the day I was being admitted. And I remember there's this nurse who told him, you have to take care of her tonight because she's probably going to break down. Most moms find this night pretty difficult. And in my head I was just like, hey, what is this lady talking about? Why would I go home and cry? And I've been okay here the whole time. At that point I had not cried. I had not cried from the time I gave birth. So in my head I was just like, I think I've got this in the bag. I'm pretty strong. I know what's coming. And yeah, I didn't see the big deal. So Nora picked us up from the hospital and we were going home, so me and Robin. And then I remember he had to leave to go get Zaria from his mom, so we dropped him along the way, and then me and Nora proceeded. And I remember when we got to, if you've seen my previous videos, I've shown you the supermarket on the main road called Kamindi. So we were at that point entering into the road that takes you to my estate. And I don't know, like, I got to that point. I from, like, before that point we were okay. I was singing, we were singing, and we were always singing in the car, blasting the music, enjoying ourselves. And I just got to that road and everything just changed. Like, reality hit me that I was going home empty-handed, and that just broke me. And I remember Nora was singing, and then she's like, she had this moment of, mbona wamenyamaza? So she just turned and she just saw me bawling, just crying, and she was like, what's going on? I couldn't even talk because in my mind I was just like, how is this happening to me? So she drove me, we came home, and we were both now like in that state of breaking down. And she just said, like, just try and be strong, at least he's okay, you'll be going to see him. So yeah, she just comforted me, and then she went. And I found the house was still closed because Robin had locked the house and forgotten to give us the key. So I was seated outside in the compound waiting for him and Zaria. So I had to calm down just so that she wouldn't see me breaking down. But the moment she entered the gate and I saw her, tears started again, now breaking down again. Because I was in that time I was thinking, like, I should have been introducing her to her baby brother right now. I was like, where do I start? She's been waiting all these days to see me and her brother, and here she is, I'm here alone. Like, I broke down again. And that night was like pretty much one of the worst nights of this whole experience, because it was just like entering the house, everything I'm doing, I'm just like, I'm not supposed to be doing this. This is not supposed to be happening. So yeah, but next day I woke up and I was just like, I need to put myself together, because I wanted to be there for both my children. like now a mother of 2. So yeah, for the next few days I started to go to hospital every single day. No, not every, at first I wasn't going every day because the medication that I was on was a whole other story. Like, it was so intense on my body that I was dizzy, like literally walking from my sitting room going upstairs to the bedroom. I'd have to run because, or hold myself to support myself, because I was so dizzy. That one that like you're falling down the next minute. So I had to take breaks. So I would go one day and skip the next, just so that the next day I was resting. I was resting so that I wasn't as badly off. But then I got my medication changed and I was able to go now every single day. And I was pumping milk, and like, pumping milk is not easy. Just seated there for like an hour, you're just pumping and pumping and pumping and trying, like, that whole process was pretty much stressful because you're thinking the only thing I have to offer this child is my breast milk. And so you couldn't like slug on it. And yeah, so I would take my milk, I would go see him for like 2 hours. I was just seated there. So there's a time he was in the incubator, so I couldn't even access him. I couldn't, like, I could only touch him, like put my hand through those 2 holes for the incubator. And and yeah, so I would just sit there, just stare at him for like 2 hours, then come back home, repeat the next day until it got to a point where now I could hold him. Got to a point where now I could breastfeed him, and we just kept hitting milestone after milestone after milestone. And let me just say, he's a pretty strong baby to have gotten from where he was and just keep hitting milestone after milestone. Like, I have been extremely blessed to be his mom, because just seeing how, like, he's a baby, he doesn't even know anything, he doesn't know much, but just fighting for his life pretty much has been an honor, just witnessing that as his parents. Like, we keep telling ourselves like he's going to be a great man because of everything that he has gone through. So yeah, we kept doing that until now he got to like, you stay in hospital in the ICU. Even if your baby is now ready to go home, you stay in the ICU until your baby is past 1.8 kgs. So he had hit all his milestone, and we were just waiting for him to now get to 1.8 kgs. So he finally got to 1.8 kgs, and then the second set, now the next wave of stress started, where it was like his hospital bill. Like, Nairobi hospital is not cheap, and furthermore he was in the ICU and then moved to the HDU, which at least the HDU was much cheaper, but still pretty much expensive. So we had a bill of about 1.2 million to clear. So that started, and like, I remember the day when we were going to admit him, and we were so lucky to have insurance, and Robin was able to get money from his workplace, and we had friends, and we had my family and his family who were there for us, and we were able to raise funds, but we weren't able to raise everything. So I remember on that day when we were going to discharge him, I was so anxious because I kept thinking, I had mentally prepared myself to go with my baby today. It was on a Friday, and I just kept telling myself, where is this money going to come from? Where is this money going to come from? And I remember through the whole experience, my sister Akinyi, she kept telling me, don't worry, like, money will sort itself out, money will sort it. But I kept thinking, where on earth are we going to get all this money to just, because I kept, there's no way, like, on that day I was so anxious. I was just like, there's no way I'm going home alone tonight. That would have just broken me. Like, after everything, I think that day, I don't know why the pressure was so much for me to go home with him on that specific day, but I just kept thinking to myself, there's no way I'm going home alone tonight. Like I couldn't keep doing it anymore, going to hospital every day to see him and to hold him and just go back home alone. So by the grace of God, and thank you to everyone, our families, like our friends, we were able to raise the funds, most of the funds, and so we were able to go home. Yeah, so we were able to go home. And again, Nora came for us because she works around there, so she came for us and she took us home. So it was me and Robin and the baby. And I remember she had actually, because I remember at this point I told you guys we had not bought anything, like not even socks. I had nothing for it. Like I knew I wanted the baby home with me, but I didn't know what he was going to wear. I didn't know where he's going to sleep. I didn't know, like we didn't have anything apart. But now the previous day we had gotten clothes, and that day when Nora came for us, like she had bought everything else that was remaining. So yeah, we came home, and again Robin, we dropped him at the supermarket or something to get some things. And she probably doesn't know how important that day was for me, but we got home, and just before we packed home, Nora was like, we need to pray. And like she doesn't really know how much that was just like she doesn't know how much I needed that prayer, because she prayed and we just broke down, because it was happiness. Because through the whole experience, Nora is the one who I used to, like going to hospital, I would go with her and come back home with her. And I think I never thought of how much it also broke her. Yeah, so through the whole, I didn't realize how much it broke her, how much it broke Robin. I mean, this whole time he had not seen his child. Like he had seen his child maybe only 2 times, and this was a whole, like he came home 35 days later, 35 days after being born. 35. Yeah, so as I was saying, like he had not seen his child for that whole time. So like being in that car and her saying that prayer, like it hit me. I wasn't the only one who was going through this, and at that point it was just like we were just so thankful to be home, thankful to be holding him, and we were just so thankful that everything had turned out for the best. And then so we were done, we broke down. I think we broke down I don't know how many times during this whole thing. So she was like, okay, let's compose ourselves, and then we got to introduce now Zaria to Zayn. I think I'll put that video.
I see that.
Hello. Who's that?
Baby there.
Anafanana na Zari.
Auntie.
I think, yeah, so that was just how everything went on. So now we are 10 weeks past the day he was born, past the 19th. And yeah, so he's 10 weeks old, and it has just been a journey because motherhood is not sleeping. So Zari is coming down. We want to show you baby Zayn. Yeah, so you guys remember Zaria, my firstborn. And then here is, oh, he's sleeping. Here is baby Zayn. There he is. Now a big boy. He's now 3 kgs actually. So yeah, as you guys can see, it's been a journey. Zaria is in love with him. yeah, so it's been a journey and we are grateful. Now I'm a mom for 2. I don't know if you guys can see him well because of how he's sleeping and I'm waking him up, bothering him. Yeah, so that was it for this video. Thank you so much for watching
and subscribe.
I'll see you guys on the next video. Bye.
Bye. Subscribe
And comment and
put a thumbs
like
up.
the video. Yeah, put a thumbs up on the video. Yeah, and we'll see you for the next video. Me and Zaria.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye.